Hello folks, and welcome to another command block video. In this video we're going to be talking about the summon command. The summon command's reasonably straightforward. All it is really the ability to summon entities and other mobs and things like that into the world at specific locations and give them certain properties. It can be used in a lot of different ways, but like with all these videos, what I want to do is show you how to use the command and then apply it to something and use it for something that's actually legitimate. And we're going to move right along with kind of the way I've been doing these videos, which is sort of setting up a server and using only command blocks to do that. So what I've got behind me is the admin guard, and I'm going to show him off to you and let you know how to summon him and then how to put him to use. So here he is. This is the admin guard, and I've summoned him into place here. He's basically just a mannequin, pretty much. So how did I get him like this? All right, well let's go ahead and do the summon command. Let's make another admin guard. So let's do this. Summon. What is it? It's a villager golem. That's what the iron golem is. So villager golem. We're gonna summon him right where I'm standing. That'll be just fine. And then we're going to give him some data tags. Now, if you go look up at minecraftwiki.net, you can see what all the data tags are for specific mobs and general mobs and whatever. But what we want to do with this admin guardian is we want to basically make him just like we did, like you saw, and we want to make him sort of a dummy, and we're going to use him as an object to protect admin areas. So what we're going to do is we're going to first of all set up the property no AI. So this is the thing that basically makes him a dummy. So no AI, the values are 1 and 0 for this, 1 for true, 0 for false. Default value is false. So what we want to do is change it to 1, so he has no AI. Next thing, we want to make sure he can't be killed. It's sort of a redundancy to make sure that, obviously admins would have the ability to kill him, but we just want to make sure that he can't be killed for whatever reason, even if some player found some way to get anywhere near this guy. So anyways, invulnerable. I want to set that to 1. And then we need a way to target this guy specifically outside of other entities and other mobs. So we need to give him a name. So we're going to do custom name. And we're going to name him admin guard. And the last one's mainly a cosmetic thing. We're just going to make the custom name visible when you're nearby him. So we're going to do the same thing, custom name visible, and just set that to 1. So this is the command that's going to summon my admin guardian, and there he is. So as you can see, we have a complete duplicate of what I summoned before. This is the admin guard, and that's really it. So if I wanted to get rid of him as an admin, best way to do that, and this is good practice for anyone who wants to do this, what you want to do is use the kill command, and you want to do it just like I have here. Kill all entities with the name admin guard. It's a specific selector you want to use, and within a radius of 3. You want to always make sure you put the radius in there. It's sort of your backup if I screwed something else up with this selector, maybe had a typo or something. If you're only killing the entities within a small radius that's near you, you basically put yourself near the object you want to kill, just to make sure that it gets killed and you don't do too much damage. So basically we should be just killing this admin guard right next to me. I'm going to go ahead and do it, and there he goes. He is killed, and he dropped us some loot. Okay, so this guy's job is basically to protect an area that is deemed to be only accessible by admins. So obviously the spawn chunks is a great example of when you'd want to do that, where you want to set up redundant levels of security. But you may also want to use an admin guard. Let's say you've set up your server, you've done all your work for it, but you want to play survival, but you don't want to be griefed, and you feel like as an admin maybe you should have at least one perk, and that is that nobody can come near your base. You could use an admin guard just like this to protect your area. So how is this guy protecting this area? Let's take a look at how that works. Okay, so down below here, these are basically the command blocks that are doing all the work for the admin guard. As a matter of fact, it's really just these, but in order for me to explain these, I probably should show you what we got going on here. I'm going to really run through these again in a later video, but I'll show you what's happening here. So since these are the spawn chunks, in a default world, When players join a server or join a game, they're going to be placed in the center of the spawn chunks. So what we have to figure out, since the spawn chunks are now basically an unplayable area and we don't want players to be there, we have to figure out a way to identify first-time players and move them somewhere else and basically sort of initialize them in the game world somewhere else and set their default home point. So let's take a look at how we handle that when players first join a server or don't have a home point or whatever. Let's just take a look at this. This first command here is scoreboard players add all players first time player 0. So I've created a first time player objective. And also you may notice that I'm targeting all players. There's no selector there other than just targeting all players. You also notice that I'm not doing scoreboard players set, I'm doing scoreboard players add. So I'm adding the value of 0 to this objective for all players all the time. Now, if I go and change their value of their scoreboard objective to something else, adding 0 is not going to do anything. But at the very least, this means that when players immediately join the server, they already have a value of 0 for first-time players. So this is a great way of saying that you want to initialize a scoreboard objective for all players and make sure that it's there, because when you create the scoreboard objective and a player hasn't done anything to change their value or their score for that scoreboard objective, it basically won't initialize as null or anything. So this is our way of initializing it as null. So the next command is going to be looking at those players that are first-time players and putting them into the PvP team. If you guys have been following along, this should be pretty obvious, so I'm just going to run through it. Next score is just a title for those players. It says welcome, that's all it is. And the next one sets their spawn point for first-time players, and it sets their spawn point over in the location where we want this actual spawn to be. This happens to be the particular coordinates for an orientation area that I've set up, so that's where their spawn point's being set. And then I'm going to send them to their spawn point, so TP all first-time players to that location. And then we give them 1 rotten flesh, which is kind of a slap in the face, but I'll explain that in a later video. And last but not least, we now say that they are no longer a first-time player. So obviously, there still could be ways that players could come back here, and that's what the admin guard is for. So let's look at how we use the admin guard. So let's look at this first command block here. Very similar to the other one, we do scoreboard players add for all players who are not a first-time player, basically. So score first-time player minimum 1. So these are basically for all players that have run through that first string of commands that we just went through, and they have been deemed now, I guess you could think of it as a veteran player. They've been in the server now. So for all these players that have been in the server, we're adding 0 to the objective value near admin. So we're initializing an objective value for near admin areas as 0. And we're doing this for all players basically all the time. Now, there's really no harm in doing this add 0. I mean, with a lot of these command blocks, we like to do this thing to prevent them from triggering all the time. But in a few cases, so that's really not, there's no harm in doing that, is really what I'm saying. So let's move on to the next thing. So the first thing we want to do is look at when players start to get too close to the admin guard. So this is where we actually start to use the admin guard. So we do an execute for all entities with name equals admin guard, and then we preserve the location of that entity, which means that we're basically now going to be doing all other commands relative to the admin guard that we've just targeted. So we're going to display a title for all players not in the admin team with a score of near admin 0 and within the radius of 400 blocks. So we display a title that says go back, and it's in bold red. The next one's a subtitle, the exact same selectors, and all it says is you are approaching an admin's only area. So again, this is just targeting all players within 400 blocks of an admin guard that are not in the admin team and have previously been had an objective value of near admin 0. So to prevent those from firing all the time, we now need to say that once they are inside the 400 block radius, we need to set that near admin value to something different. So we do execute again for the admin guard, preserve its location, scoreboard players set for all players within 400 blocks, and they are not a first-time player. Basically, we're going to set their near admin to 1. So this is basically, we now have finally said if there are any players that come within 400 blocks of the admin guard, they are too close to, or they are approaching an admin area. So they're near an admin area. So now it's 1. So since we change it to 1, these will now no longer fire, which means that as soon as someone crosses that threshold of 400 blocks, they get the warning once with these blocks, and we change their value to 1. This next one is basically if they heed the warning and they turn back, we want to set that value back to 0. So same thing, execute for all entities near an admin guard. Scoreboard players set for all players with a minimum radius, which means outside of the radius of 401 blocks, near admin area, and with a score of near admin 1, we're going to set that back to 0. So that's basically, okay, you listened, you went back, we're setting it back to 0, so that this can fire again if they ever come back. And then the next one is if they decide to keep going. So first thing we're going to do is give them an explanation of why their punishment will happen. So execute for all players near the admin guard, as you've seen before. So now we've changed the radius to 300. So once they cross the 300 block threshold, for all players that are not in team admin and have a score of near admin 1, we do a tell raw. And all this one says is, let me line it up here. You were teleported to the spawn for being too close to an admin area. So they were warned, they kept going, and now we're going to tell them that they're going to be teleported to the spawn, and then we do that same thing. Same selector, so execute for the all admin guards for players within 300 blocks of the admin guard, not in the admin team, with a score of near admin 1. We teleport them to the spawn. So 192, 63, 192, and then some facing values, and that's it. So what that means is that if I go beyond 400 blocks and put myself not in the admin team, we should be able to see this in action. So let's give it a test. So here I am, well outside of my 400 block radius, and what I'm going to do is put myself in a different team. So I'm going to do scoreboard, teams, join. We'll join the PvP team. And we'll put myself there. So I'm now in the PvP team. Again, to prove it, I am in the PvP team now. So my player name is Red, and I'm still in creative mode, so I get to fly because I'm an admin. So we're just going to fly closer and closer to that admin area. And as you can see, I can start to see the edge of it now. And there's my warning. So go back, you're approaching an admin area. Okay, well, what happens if I go back? Obviously, I'm inside it right now. It's bled off, so I'm going to go back outside of it. It feels like that was probably about where I triggered it. Now I'm going to come back. And there's my warning again. So now what happens if I keep going? So as you can see, this is enough distance that you can almost establish curiosity and sort of fish for players that really can't control their curiosity and want to get closer. But one thing I want to point out is because we use the values of radius 400 and 300, and we've placed the admin guard essentially about 128, so halfway up from bedrock and halfway down from the top of the world. This is basically a big giant sphere. So the warning boundary is this big giant sphere with a radius of 400 that extends well below bedrock, well above the sky build limit, and gives a nice bubble around the area to say you're getting too close, you need to back off. And then the 300 block radius is again big enough to encompass all the corners and protect the entire area to all of its edges, and say, okay, if you're that, yep, there it is. So you were teleported to the spawn for being too close to the admin area, and here I am back at the spawn. There's my orientation building. I'm going to talk about that in the next video. And here we are. That's it. So there you go, guys. That's the summon command and how you can summon entities and make specific use out of them for different purposes. Our admin guard is obviously doing its job. So hopefully this video was helpful for you guys, and I'll catch you next time when we look at the test 4 command. Later, folks.